Hi, I'm Jen from the Region of Waterloo Library. Welcome. Today is week 2 for tips for families who find themselves learning from home with their children this year, whether it be for a short period of time or if this is your new normal. We're here to share some quick and easy ways that you can find learning opportunities in and around your home. Today, as you can see, we find ourselves in the kitchen. This is really the central hub for so many families, and there are so many opportunities to learn and explore in here as well. Now, I know a lot of families might be thinking, sure, I've had my children follow a recipe. That's great math skills, but I'm here to tell you that there are 5 quick and easy ways to take that to the next level. Our next tip is all about meal planning. So ask your family, what would you like to eat? And then this is a great opportunity for our little ones to print out what they're going to be eating this week for each day, like even just for dinners, and having some ownership over what they're printing as well. If you have an older one at home, I highly recommend introducing grocery shopping planning. So just taking a few simple recipes, writing them out, and figuring out what ingredients you need. Maybe 1/4 of a pepper for this recipe, 3/4 of a cup of pepper for the other recipe. How many peppers do you actually need? So this can take quite some time and really brings math to life for them as well. Children love to discover and to create things in the kitchen on their own. And sure, I love to give my kids the opportunity to run their own little science experiments in the kitchen. But sometimes thinking of all those ingredients going to waste if the end result isn't edible sometimes can be really daunting as well. So my solution is to let them create their own art, or their art materials and Play-Doh. Things like oobleck, Play-Doh, even sidewalk chalk are great opportunities for children to explore, to either follow a recipe on their own or to create their own recipe, because at the end of the day, those recipes are really forgiving. So your Play-Doh is a little too sticky, you can always add a little bit more flour. You could talk about how you can add those ingredients and adjust it as well. So that's my idea right here. If you're looking for really great recipes, look down below. We've linked a few for you. One of my favorite activities to do with children is food sampling. At this time of the year, I love to use apples because they're easily available everywhere you go. So I've just simply chosen 4 different apples and cut them up, and now I'm going to place them on a plate. Today we're going to do a blind taste test. Other times I might label them as well, or we can look for the history of specific apples. There's so much you can do there. But after the children have an opportunity to sample, then we all vote on our favorite ones. So as you can see, we wrote them down and we're simply doing a tally score for each one, and this is where you can start interpreting data with older children as well. This is really basic, but you can always take it up to another degree as well. We can represent it in a graph. As you can see on this one, we have lots of different votes for favorites, so we called lots of friends and family and asked them what their favorite apple was, and they could sample at home as well. Now, you could do this really with any type of food. So it doesn't have to be apples or one type of food. Maybe everybody makes a different pasta bowl and you have a chance to sample from each other and then vote. You might discover a recipe you didn't know you loved. Or maybe it's one category like apples. So, you know, which ones do you prefer? Do you prefer the applesauce or the apple itself? Now, remember that sock trick that Marcy said this thing was going to change your life? I'm telling you, it will. Check this out. We all have a whiteboard at home that just won't come off when we're rubbing. Simply grab your old sock, pump a little bit of hand sanitizer on it, and watch it come off easily and effortlessly. Game changer.
Thanks, Jen. I'm Marcy from the Region of Waterloo Library with the last 2 tips for learning at home in the kitchen. My first tip is about writing. Sometimes it's hard to get children motivated to write, but it's important to find a meaningful purpose. Why not encourage your child to write a review of a recipe or restaurant meal they've had and share it with friends? This would be a great time to encourage descriptive writing. That cake wasn't just good, it was delicious, or it was scrumptious. Even reluctant writers can engage in this activity by using emojis or stars or thumbs up for their review, and organize their writing in a chart or column. You could also offer different sizes of paper. Sometimes that big sheet of paper or blank screen is just too daunting. And if writing is just not going to happen, there's lots of ways to communicate. Why not send a video review of your recipe or restaurant meal to friends or family? Finally, here's a tip for something that happens every night of the week, setting the table. Of course, you'd recognize that there's some counting here in putting out the cutlery and the dishes and the glasses, some one-to-one correspondence. Each person gets one of everything. But there's some spatial sense happening here as well when you give your child some directions about where to put the materials. To the right of the plate, to the left of the plate, above, beside, underneath, diagonal. We don't often use those terms in our day-to-day talk, but they're important math language for your child to know. You could go further by exploring some symmetry while you're setting the table, by making one side of the table the mirror image of the other. We hope you found these tips for learning in the kitchen useful. To explore more of our online resources and virtual programs, please go to rwlibrary.ca or follow us on social media. And don't forget to come back next week for our 5 tips for learning outside, where you'll find out why an old pot like this, placed on your doorstep, can support your child's outdoor learning.